The seventh edition of the Accra Indie Festival has released its roster of 52 short films that have been selected for this particular season. We'll be taking a look at the number of films and the titles of these films and the countries they are coming from. And also, major studios in Hollywood are taking a close look at the box office summer receipts to determine their future slates. We'll be taking a look at these companies or these production houses and why that is the case. This and more right here on the Film Mandate on YouTube. My name is Papa Otu. Stay tuned. Welcome to the Film Mandate, where I bring to you movie reviews, news, and reactions both from the African front and the international scene. I'm Papa Otu, and I'd like to thank you for joining me for this very episode of the Film Mandate, episode 50. So we'll be delving into it right away. And for our first major story, we begin from Accra, Ghana, in West Africa or Africa as a whole. And it's exciting. But once again, the Accra Indie Film Festival is on its seventh edition. And as part of their official announcement, they have selected 52 short films for this particular festival. So I'd like us to take a look or read this article from GH Movie Freak, and it was published about less than a day ago. And so we'll be taking a look at the article they've written. So Accra Indie Film Fest, AIF, is proud to unveil the official selection of 52 outstanding short films representing 31 countries from around the globe that will participate in the seventh edition of the festival, scheduled to take place from 4th to 9th August 2025 at the Alliance Francaise in Accra, Ghana. This year, AIF embraces the powerful theme Disruption, Visions of Tomorrow, as a bold call to imagine futures beyond the status quo and amplify voices that challenge norms, spark conversations, and shift perspectives. The 2025 lineup is a dynamic showcase of films that reimagine storytelling, technology, identity, and society through a futuristic lens. The official selection represents a fusion of voices from across Africa, Europe, Asia, and the Americas, and the Middle East. Audiences can expect an eclectic mix of sci-fi, speculative fiction, experimental cinema, social commentaries, and visionary animation, all pushing the boundaries of storytelling through short films. Highlights of the seventh edition include screenings and panel discussions, masterclasses, workshops, networking sessions, music concerts, award ceremony, and special spotlight. So there you have on your screen poster that about the film. So the theme is disruption, which is visions of tomorrow. Official selection, narrative films. So the project title and then the director and country. So the number one film is, or the first film is Back to the Theatre Vox by Amina Awanian, Senegal. And two, Black Ibis, that is a Emily Amponsan, Netherlands. Boxes, Angela Dimesca, North Macedonia. Enyo, into bracket reflection, is Inioba Abba Aligwe, Nigeria. Hope, Temi Ami Williams, Nigeria. Jimbi by Tusabe Ivan, Uganda. Kids See Ghosts, Daniel Talmas, France. Milwaukee, My Son, by Johnny Russell, Laon Matthew, and Lien Nachela Cassigne. Yeah, all from Botswana. Pardon me if I butcher the name. Also moved out, Daniel Diego van Kanten, Netherlands. Murder in Mind, we have William Kojo Agbeti from Ghana. And also Neighbors Alert, we have Ngozi Onwura, United States. Passover Scars, Lydia Asmerom Hall, United States. Return to Office, Kayla Sun, is still also from US. Sins of a Father, we have Nwekela Hadi, also from the US. Stark Johannes Krog, Germany, Nigeria. The Bright Tears, Moses Impadiola, Nigeria. The Old Days from Guillaume Nora, France, and also The Professional Parent from Eric Jassari, yeah, Jassan from Romania and Slovakia. We have The Wilderness, Stacy Dakwa Dia from the UK. Thief by Andrew Odera Omolo and Gregory Kwo Mwaole. I hope I got it right. Kenya. Also, moving on, we have Totem by Nicole Panache, Zimbabwe. And then we have Ya Hanune, that is from Lina Tadon. I hope I'm getting it right. And Sofiane Chouaib, that is from France. So these are the list of official narrative films, 22 of them that have been selected. Moving on, we have so the date has been indicated again, 4th to 9th. Now let's look at the official selection of student films. Official selection of student films, and there are 10 of them. The Digital Bread by Sienna Davis from USA, University of Pennsylvania. A Passion's Night Bloom by Kwesi Entry, UK, from Met Film School. And then Beyond the Showers, we have Florian Rudolph, also from Germany, from Film Universität, Babelsberg, Conrad Roof, and then we have Cicatriz Seed, Rodrigo Ribeiro Vieira. Yeah, we have from Brazil, from the AIC Academia Internacional do Cinema, and also we have Ghetto Fest, which Ghetto Fest from Lubira Safina, the Uganda Kampala Film School. Also, Eva from Ukash, Ashok Bankar, India, which is from the National Institute of Design, Madhya Pradesh, pardon me, Pradesh. Izo from Abdul Hakim Abdul Salam, which is from Ghana, from Unimac Nafti. And also we have Silent, Almost Unnoticed by Patrick Fleischer and Feline Joe Hamon. They are both from Germany, Film Universität, Babelsberg, Konrad Rolf. Moving on, we are moving on. The Gunnery, Montford Point Marine by Jesse Collier Satterley, USA, School of Cinema, San Francisco State University. And then last but not the least on this list, we have Victorine by Lunice Serene. Pardon me if I'm not getting the name right. Pardon me. USA from the Columbia University and the Columbia University. So AIF 2025 aims to ignite conversations around the future of film and the role of storytelling in shaping tomorrow's cultural, political, and social landscape. The festival continues its mission to provide a global platform for emerging and independent filmmakers while fostering a sense of community and shared vision across continents. The full list of selected films and participating filmmakers is available on the festival's official website. That is www.accraindiefilmfest.org. and all social media platforms. As the festival gears up for this exciting chapter, AIF um, invites audiences, creatives, media professionals, and partners to be part of a transformative week of cinema, culture, and collaboration in the heart of Accra. So, yeah, the official theme is Disruption Visions of Tomorrow, official selection animation. So, let's read this. I like animation so much. So yeah. So the project title, the director and country, Anu, by Nakai Nat Nguyem. Please pardon me. Please pardon me if I'm not getting the name right. Vietnam. We also have the Black Tide, Kim Yip Tong from Mauritius. Adu by Damilola Solesi, Nigeria. Jaw by Labi Nyedu Labi, Belgium, Ghana, and also that is Belgium and Ghana, two countries. Only Paper by Maxine um, Villon from France, and then Storytelling by Niels Hedinga, Switzerland, and then The Guardians into brackets, chosen ones from Jesse Sunkwa Mills, Ghana. So these are the official animation selection for the event. And also from official selection music film, we have Three Tales by Vasia Intulia, that is Greece, and In Vain, that is Stephen Hall, and Toby Omoteso from Ireland, and then Dawn by Gariteli Janot from Cameroon. Digital story section or category, we have Amazik, that is by Sarah Soyupak, Turkey. Italy Migrants Jail by Paolo Santa Lucia, Italy. And then we have Mahamud's Mercedes by Ben Egger from Sweden. Yeah, so this sums up the entire selection. I'm sure there are more, just as the film said. There are more film. Just as the article says that if you go onto the official website, www.accra Indie Filmfest.org, so you can go onto their platform and check it out. And I'm excited about this events being held because more often events that is such prolific in bringing together a lot of people takes a lot of work to get it done, and not just that, but a lot of resources to keep it going. So I indeed want to congratulate and then appreciate the work of the organizers of this film festival, which is becoming a phenom already in this part of Africa. And my hope is that it becomes perhaps even the biggest indie film festival in the whole of Africa, bringing together people from all over the world as they have been doing. So yeah, I'm just hoping that whatever resources they need as a result of watching this channel and looking at their publicity that they are doing, any able-bodied people would be able to lend their support for this festival to be even bigger than it is. But from the look of things, looking at the number of countries they are attracting these uh, talents from, it's really amazing. And I know that they have done a very good job to make this a possibility. So it looks like there'll be a lot of films to watch come August 4th to August 9th. And honestly, I'm excited about this because this year in particular, we are seeing, you know, films being done on a scale that is unprecedented, and not necessarily with regards to the 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 number of productions coming out this year, but over across board, storytelling is evolving into new areas that perhaps have not been told before, particularly from the continent of Africa, where six films represented on the Cannes Film Festival. So I'm excited for the Accra Indie Film Fest, looking at the fact that they are looking at not just films, but on films that are made for even different platforms. for digital, and as usual, the narratives, the usual narratives, and then the animation. And nine animation films, or is it nine or seven, are being represented here, and it's exciting because animation doesn't really get the most much credit as it deserves, and I'm hoping that, or I'm glad that this film festival is accepting animation and would give them their opportunity to shine in the sun, to receive the necessary attention and accolade as they deserve. So yeah, it is exciting, and I'm happy for what they are doing in this country. I mean, for this film festival, it's going to be big. If you look at the film festival itself, it's roping in a a student film category. Most often in Ghana, it's the schools themselves that will organize their own, film festival, which is good. Not throwing shade at that, but I'm excited that an indie film festival, which is not a school-based film festival, has considered a section for students as well, and it's indeed laudable for what they are doing for the film industry. So, congratulations once again to Accra Indie Film Fest for the wonderful job they are doing to promote the film both from Africa and beyond. So, moving from Accra to the USA, this summer seems to be an exciting summer for filmmakers, particularly in the United States, because after the pandemic, the effect hasn't still worn off, and films in cinemas are not really doing the way they used to do pre-pandemic era. So a lot of the studios, in particularly Marvel and DC, are taking a critical look as to whether the hits of Lilo and Stitch and Mission Impossible, The Final Reckoning, is turning the tide once again, perhaps into the era of the pre-pandemic where films were making it big time and was much more profitable for the film studios. So in an article written in Variety, it reads that as comic book movies scale back releases, Marvel and DC look to this summer to decide the future of superhero cinema. So it's written by Adam B. Vazi or Vazi. So I read, it's easy, really too easy at this point to proclaim that the era of superhero movie is over. At the start of this month, Marvel's Thunderbolt open to some of the strongest reviews the Marvel Cinematic Universe has received in years. And yet, by the end of May, it will have earned less domestically, $174 million to date, than than 2022's Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness did in the sorry, pardon me, did in its opening weekend, $187 million. Last week, Marvel Studios announced that it was pushing Avengers Doomsday and Avengers Secret Wars from May to December of 2026 and 2027, respectively, while pulling three other untitled Marvel projects set to open within that same time frame from the schedule entirely. The former decision will allow directors Joe and Anthony Russo more time to marshal two of the biggest, most expensive feature films ever made. The latter decision is pure commerce, an easing of supply in response to the clear reduction in demand. To be sure, a quick scan of box office charts makes plain that audiences' appetites have shifted to movies like Sinners, Lilo and Stitch, and a Minecraft movie that arranges about costume extraordinary beings swooping in to defeat an overwhelming threat. But while superheroes may no longer be an invincible box office force, their obsolescence has also been widely overstated. For one, some of these movies are still global sensations, like 2024's Deadpool and Wolverine and 2023's Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, and Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 for another. Disney and what about us remain deeply invested in movie goers, turning out for comic book adaptations worldwide at a $1 billion scale. In July, DC Studios and Marvel Studios are each taking striking creative risks in the hopes of reintroducing and revitalizing their respective cinematic universes. Superman, written and directed by co-DC Studios chief James Gunn, will be the first time the Man of Steel headlines a movie in which he is but one of dozens of other superhero characters. A decades-long comic book conceit that hasn't ever really been tested with audiences that don't know their metamorpho from their Mr. Terrific. For the Fantastic Four First Steps, the second feature film from WandaVision director Matt Shakman, Marvel is taking the opposite approach, reintroducing the company's first family in a retro-futuristic 1960s New York City that exists in separate reality from the MCU. No prior knowledge required. Both of these movies shoulder a burden beyond their own commercial prospects. The Consort, Superman failing to soar would be kryptonite for Warner Brothers' long-term plans for its wider DC universe. And Pedro Pascal, Vanessa Kirby, Joseph Quinn, and Ebon Moss-Backrack stumbling while taking their titular first steps would seriously weaken the storytelling foundations for Doomsday and Secret Wars. So it's fair to say the stakes are quite high. If these movies don't work, or if audiences actually have just had their fill of this genre, then superheroes really could wind up fading into the pop culture periphery like rom-coms and westerns. No genre totally disappears in Hollywood, of course. Kevin Costner's Dances with Wolves and Clint Eastwood's Unforgiven revived the Western in the early 1990s and won the Oscar for Best Picture. But superhero movies stand apart because the extravagant cost to make and market them demand an audience of commensurate size will show up to see them. By cutting Marvel's output over the next 2 years almost in half, however, Disney has mitigated its exposure and given its highest grossing division necessary creative breathing room. Gunn and his DC co-chief Peter Safran, meanwhile, have made a point of not flooding the marketplace with multiple projects nor greenlighting anything until the screenplay is totally ready. Given the pedigree of the creative forces behind these movies and the cultural currency of the marquee characters at their center, like Batman, Spider-Man, Wonder Woman, and Black Panther, the odds are strong that moviegoers will continue to turn out for the kind of popcorn thrills that have made superhero films such a reliable blockbuster engine for the last 25 years. There just won't be nearly as many of them as there used to be. As there used to be. So, yeah, this article indeed is naming a number of the factors or reasons why perhaps these studios are scaling back. And yes, it is understandable because a number of the films that they have released, even when it may not necessarily be from them, is hasn't really made the box office, um, boom that they want. And you would be concerned when you are investing hundreds of millions of dollars in projects of such nature. And the issue really isn't because perhaps audiences may prefer one studio over the other. Yes, they are diehard fans of certain studios, but I think usually they are diehard fans of stories that are told right or that are told very well. And regardless of what studio you may come from, you would get diehard fans or fans in general who love good films being told. This can be seen in the fact that even though DC and the DCE universe didn't perform as well as Marvel did, you had certain successes of films in the DCEU like Wonder Woman and Aquaman making good box office receipts. So it means that it's more of storytelling being told well that will draw audiences to go and watch, and if everything goes on well without any pandemic or any, you know, thing that may cause it to fail, it's definitely going to make good box office returns. And in the likelihood of even two films releasing next to each other, sometimes it does well. An example can be seen in Barbie and then or Barbenheimer, where Oppenheimer as a film, which is far different from the genre of Barbie, both made enough box office, receipts. Oppenheimer almost made $1 billion, I think around $950 million, and you also had Barbie making over $1 billion. So when it's not really about whether there is a superhero fatigue, perhaps there may be, but I think it's more of whether, I mean, just as John Campia and others may say, it's rather mediocrity, uh, films not being told at its apex at perhaps it was done. And sometimes it does happen, and where perhaps the creative input or the realization of a film may not be at its utmost best, and that may result in people not wanting to go and watch these films if that is the case. So it is really a challenge, especially in an era where um, social media is competing even for the attention of audiences who want to go to the cinema. So if films are not being told at its optimum best, the likelihood of people not wanting to watch it is also high. So we are hoping perhaps that indeed the summer releases does very well, because if it does very well, it would be positive for all films that will be coming this particular summer and beyond. And regardless, you would want it to succeed so that other filmmakers' films would also succeed. But that would be at the cost of making sure that what the films are well told. If the films are well told, it may work well. And Thunderbolts may be an exception, which evidently may not necessarily be the fault of the studio, because Thunderbolts is a good story. The critics and the audience alike love the film. They love the film, but it is expected because their few outings, that's Marvel's few outings, haven't worked as well as they hoped from both series and then the movies themselves. So, Captain America didn't perform the way they expected, because the film itself had some issues in terms of the storytelling. It wasn't really Marvel apex storytelling as they have seen in some of the earlier phases of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So with that happening and audiences being disappointed to an extent, it's reflected in the box office of Thunderbolt. So if perhaps Deadpool and Wolverine was based on its success, and also Captain America also was extremely successful or equally in terms of storytelling and not just box office receipt, because it's a storytelling that will lead people to come to the cinema to watch it. If that had also been very successful, the likelihood of Thunderbolts being successful is very high. A clear example would be when the age, I think age between, I don't know whether it's between Age of Ultron or after Endgame, when Captain Marvel was released, just because of the humongous success of what's it called, Avengers. It also robbed off Captain Marvel. Same can be said of the Iron Man 3 after the Avengers film, and Iron Man was released. The Avengers 1 film was released, and Iron Man was released afterwards. It was also robbed off it very, very much, making over $1 billion. And so that is the case. If the the successive films after and series after the Avengers Endgame had been very successful, you can be rest assured that Thunderbolts would have been successful. So I can understand why both studios in particular are scaling back on their number of films that they are releasing to really steady the market. And not just that, for in the case of DC in particular, making sure that they no, in the case of even Marvel in particular, the idea is to ensure that you put in the very best in their cinematic outings for 2026 and 2027. Hence, they've even pushed them back in from May to December. So Avengers Doomsday and Avengers Secret Wars is perhaps the most expensive films that will be made, ever in history. So to scale back to those dates to allow time to properly, if there need be, rewrite a story and put their best foot forward makes sense. I think it's a positive for Marvel for doing that and not rush out into bringing films half baked. But knowing what Kevin Feige and the Russo brothers have done in the past, and perhaps they wanting to, you know, even outperform Endgame, not necessarily in terms of box office, but first in terms of story, it is indeed a good decision to have moved the dates from May to December. And bear in mind, both films have a number of characters that are, are actually made like more or less they are more like an ensemble. And this is not just from the first Avengers movie, you had just a few as ensemble. This time around, they announced over about 27 main characters. 27 main characters. So you would want to take your time to weave the character dynamic so well so that it doesn't look like some characters is just are just throwaways, but they feel like they actually are necessary for the story. So I can understand why they would want to take their time and carefully build it well so that come their release dates, they would perform. And I think they are carefully taking a look at the stories being released now. And audiences now are very, they, they are not flippant as you may think. Audiences now want to see quality films being produced. So if quality films are not being produced, it's going to reflect in the box office receipts. So yeah, it does make sense that they would want to take their time. Besides, losing money is not a happy thing to I mean, it's not a happy thing for any business entity. We should keep in mind that they are businesses, so they would want to indeed make sure it's successful. But then it still has to start from a good storytelling point of view. I think some studios have realized that you can't just keep churning out subpar production, even sometimes compared to your own, and expect to make all the money in the world. It doesn't work that way anymore. So good storytelling with the right marketing push will definitely get people into the studios to watch these films. So yeah, this sums up the two stories I have for you today. But moving on, and especially today being a weekend, we would like to take a look at the films releasing today and from today Friday to Sunday all over the world. And starting with Ghana, we'll take a look at the Silverbird website and let's see what films are being released, particularly today and beyond. So on your screen, it looks like they don't really have. So on the screen today, releasing is Karate Kid Legends. Karate Kid Legends, which stars Jackie Chan and some other characters who are returning from the other installments of the Karate Kid franchises released earlier on. So you have Karate Kid Legends releasing today, and the times are displayed there, so you can go and take a look at it. We also have Bro Code from Nollywood, which stars our own Majid Michelle, also releasing in the cinemas today. So yeah, you can go and take a look at them. And moving on, we have Guns Up from Hollywood. I think it's an action comedy, which is also releasing today. And these are the three main films that are going to be released in the Silverbird cinemas today. But as usual, all the other films were released from last week and beyond, so you can go and take a look at them for those who haven't watched it, from Mission Impossible, The Final Reckoning, Lilo and Stitch, and My Mother is a Witch. All three were released last week as well. And also beyond last week, you had films so you had films like Bull Chalk Math, which is an indie film, which also released last week. But beyond that, you have other films which were released way before, that is 2 weeks ago and all, and they are also still in the cinemas, so you can go and take a look at them. You can do so, and if you haven't watched them. So let's take a look at what is releasing on the international scene today, and then so that wherever you are in the world, if a film piques your interest, you can go and watch it as well. So the first is Hope on the Stage. Yeah, so Hope on the Stage, which is I think it's a tour, a live, yeah, so it's a live viewing of a tour which is being done in Japan. It's going to be shown in the cinemas. It's releasing tomorrow. So we also have the Metropolitan Opera Il Barbiere di Siviglia. Sorry, I'm butchering the name. Pardon me. So it's also being released tomorrow as well. As usual, Karate Kid Legends is releasing worldwide. So it's releasing today worldwide. So that's the international release date for the Karate Kid Legends. And moving on to a horror film, Bring Her Back is also releasing today. And then The Phoenician Scheme by Wes Anderson is also releasing today in the cinemas. You have Tornado releasing today as well. And then Shall We Dance, Lost in Starlight, the Live and Die and Live also is releasing today in the cinemas. And we have Pepper Meets the Baby animation releasing also today. So there are more films releasing today. You can go onto the Rotten Tomatoes website and check the films that may interest you the most. I will leave a link in the description below, or you can just Google it and find it out. But I'll leave it in the description below so that you can take a look at the number of films that are being released worldwide and perhaps the country that they are being released in, so that if it's close to you, you can go and watch them. Yeah, so that is it for this episode of the Film Mandates. I hope you enjoyed this very episode with me, and thank you so much for joining me and being with me on this very journey of the Film Mandates, episode 50. Wow, how far have I come? So thank you so much for joining me for this episode of the Film Mandates, and I hope you leave your thoughts in the comment section below. And also don't forget to subscribe or join from wherever you may be from or watching from. I like to know where you're watching from, and thank you so much for your support for coming with me this far. I'll come your way again on Monday with another episode of the Film Mandate. I'm Papa Otu. See you soon.